yourself. That's right, I see the chat. I see y'all rocking. I see y'all coming. Hit that like button as you enter the building. You know what I'm saying? Hit that like button. Show your love. Show your support. You know what I'm saying? This that dope soul. This that new thing. Nobody don't know about it.
Hello, Knick family. Welcome to the recap and reaction show. The Knicks found another can of whoop ass in the cabinet last night, or yesterday, I should say, beating the San Antonio Spurs at home 114-89. I really thought the Knicks were dead in the water in that first quarter or the first few minutes of that quarter. And then they just responded with a all-around phenomenal performance, probably their best two-way performance this season, in my opinion, and really gave us a glimpse of what could be. And listen, we know the Knicks have been inconsistent this season. There's been a roller coaster. We've seen them, play well offensively. We've seen them play well defensively, but they haven't been able to put it all together. They did so yesterday, and I think it's just a matter of, can they live there? Can this be them? Can they find this, instead of it being a ceiling, can this be their floor? And can they find it over the next, 18, 19 games, whatever we have left, so that they are peaking going into the playoffs? I felt there were wonderful performances all around, and we'll get into depth. Even Cat, who didn't score probably the way we would like him to score, I thought he was great last night. I have a few things to say about Hart, in my opinion, finding himself. And Mikal Bridges, I'm at peace with Mikal Bridges. I'm not saying this is going to be him for the rest of the season, but I did appreciate his performance last night. A lot to, and then we'll get into, Diawara as well. A lot to talk about. Geoff, just your brief thoughts on last night's game before we get into it.
Well, it's funny because, first of all, great win. Like, the San Antonio had won 11 straight. Yep. And, you got off to a rough start, and then you absolutely eviscerated them after, in the second quarter and beyond. And so a great win from that perspective. But I think, ironically, my reaction to this game is frustration, right? Because it's frustration because, like, why don't we see this, where is this version of the team all the time, right? Like, why do we have to wait until, like, so we know that they're capable of this, but why do we so frequently fall short? And then not only that, but we won this game going away, but I'm not sure that we solved the overarching difficulty that this team has. And I think that's the Towns Brunson synergy, right? That's to me, like, we won the game, but Towns didn't shoot the ball very much, and it wasn't, and look, it doesn't matter. We won the game, right? But I don't know that we're going to be our chief selves come playoff time if we don't figure out the dynamics between our stars. And I'm not sure that we did anything in particular that solved those issues yesterday, even though we got some fantastic ancillary performances from nearly all of our role players were outstanding. And I'm sure we'll go into all of that individually, but a great win, and a necessary one, because the upcoming schedule is really brutal. And, the Cavs won again last night. The Celtics won again last night. So, just trying to keep pace in this Eastern Conference playoff race is difficult. And we've got, from now until the middle of March, I think we've got a kind of a tough schedule. And then it lightens up after that. We still have to win those games, but for the next week or so, we're going on the road. We're going to be on the West Coast. We've got guys like Denver and both LA teams that are not going to be easy. We've got Oklahoma City and Toronto this week. So a lot of difficult games coming up. So good to take care of business at home. I just don't know that I think we've seen the team play like this in games before, in quarters before. I just don't know if this is a sustainable formula that says, hey, we figured it out.
Yeah, I hear you. I think I'm coming to terms with the fact that how I want Cat to play and how I believe Cat should play and how I believe Brunson should play, I'm kind of coming around to the fact that that's not what Mike Brown sees. And that's not what Mike Brown wants. I think the way the Knicks played yesterday is what Mike Brown wants. He wants he wants Cat to just impact winning. If it comes your way, it comes your way. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Now, whether I agree with that, whether I believe that's something that's going to win in the playoffs, this is the direction he wants to go. I thought Brunson's floor game was really good. I think that this is what Mike Brown wants. If they double you, if they crowd you, just find the open guy. Don't force it. I think that's what we saw, last night from Brunson. One time he put somebody in the blender, as we would say, but we're seeing less and less of that this year. And I think that's by design. I just don't think Mike Brown wants him. Brunson can score on anyone, but because he's not quick, it takes him having the ball for like 14 seconds to put him in the blender and dribble left and dribble right and stutter step and until he can find that exact point in which he can get the shot off, and it takes time. And I think that's less a part of his game. And again, I think that's by design. I think Mike Brown wants quick hitting. And I think Brunson is learning how to play different. And I'm seeing it, at least I spoke about it a show or so ago, as him being less assertive. But I think that's just the way Mike Brown wants it. You give Brunson all the time in the world, he can score on anybody repeatedly. I don't care if you're strong. I don't care if you're longer. I don't care what it is. He can do it. But he's not getting that time to do that. That's just not what this offense is anymore. And yesterday he got off the ball, and he's been doing that, recently. And guys came through. Like one time he was almost at the rim and he passed it out to Diawara, who hit the shot. But I was like, you right at the rim and you're going to pass it out like for 3? Diawara hit the shot. But again, I think that's just another example of that's the way Mike Brown wants this team to play. And all of the role players came through last night. It remains to be seen in a game in which they're crowding him and he's passing and they're not coming through. Will he then become more aggressive? I think this is it, Geoff. I think whether it's a winning formula or not, whether they can maintain it or not, I think this is the way Mike Brown wants this team to play. And they have 18, 19 games to perfect it, going into the playoffs. So I've kind of released what I think is best, that Cat and Brunson work well together, that Cat gets more shots, that I'm just we're 968 games into the season. Like I just think this is the way Mike Brown wants them to play.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair. I don't know. I just don't know that we're utilizing our talent properly to maximize it. That's all. That would be my concern, and I understand what you're saying, and I kind of think you're right. No, not kind of. I absolutely think you're right. I think that this is how he sees the team. And look, you're allowed to have different visions of what the team should look like, and he's the guy getting paid, and if this is how he wants them to look, then that's how they should look. But you better win. Right? That's all there is to it. You can have your vision, you can utilize the players you want to. You just, when it comes down to it, you better win come playoff time. And I'm not saying they can't. I'm just saying they better. And I think that, and if it's all right with you, I think the place that I really want to go to first is Karl Anthony Towns' defense yesterday. I thought the way that he did.
And can I just say one more thing before we move on? It's more about the process than the results. Like, I don't think this is going to be Cat every game. This is not going to be Brunson every game. But I think this is going to be the process of Brunson getting off the ball, and hopefully they come through. What remains to be seen, because every game brings different challenges, is when they crowd him and he gets up off the ball quickly and the other players aren't hitting shots. Now what happens? Now we need Brunson to be a little more assertive. When we have mismatches, are we going to Towns, right? Every game presents, something different. I think it's more about the process. I thought the Knicks process was really good last night. But again, we're going to play Toronto. That's going to bring a different challenge. What's the process going to be against Toronto? But go ahead about Cat.
Well, I just thought that he played really well defensively yesterday. I thought he got up into Wembanyama. He made life difficult for Wemby as much as anybody can. Like Wemby is a unique superstar in this league, and to hold him to 25 points, and not that he did that alone. I think there were some possessions where OG were particularly good too, which is impressive considering how much size. It felt like a full foot that he was getting away. It's not, but it felt like that when you see it, the replays on it. But I just thought that Towns showed that he's capable as a defender sometimes, and I think that these are the types of matchups Wembanyama, and we'll see again hopefully against Joker, where you can see him play really well on that end of the floor. And when we do get good defensive performances from him, I think that's a game changer. Like if that's what it takes if we have to sacrifice some offense to and some shots to get that kind of defensive effort, I think that it would be worth it. I just would prefer to find a world where we could do both, but maybe that's not possible. So, but shout out to Towns. I thought he had a really great game yesterday. I thought he was critical, pivotal piece to the puzzle for us to put together that amazing second quarter and fourth quarter run.
Yeah, I second that. It may not show up in the stats. 12 points, 14 rebounds, only took 1 3-pointer. He had 1 assist, 1 steal, 4 turnovers, 4 personal fouls, but he had 5 offensive rebounds, and at least 2 of them were timely offensive rebounds. I thought he picked his spots. They had Castle on him, and I thought he did all right. There was one time they had Castle on him, and he drove the baseline and dunked it, and I was like, yeah, like, when you do get your opportunities, take advantage of them. I thought Cat was phenomenal last night, and I don't think the stat sheet does any justice to his play. So I definitely agree with you on that. I want to talk about the defense last night. San Antonio shot 41.6% from the field, just 26.5% from three. In all fairness, they did get some wide open looks that they just missed, but I also think the Knicks had an impact on that. The Knicks forced 22 turnovers. They had 13 steals, the Knicks. I thought their on-ball defense was really good across the board. I thought their rotations, for the most part, was really good. And they closed out those possessions with the defensive rebound. I mean, overall, 54-41. But Towns had 9 defensive rebounds. Hart had 7 defensive rebounds. And I think the Knicks were +5 in defensive rebounds. And that's part of defense, being able to close out a possession. And they were able to do that last night. And you could tell the energy was there on the defensive end. It was really turned up. And yeah, I have something to say about Hart. I don't want to get into too much now, but any thoughts on the Knicks defense last night?
Yeah, I think that that's a great point, but in fact, it was one that I was kind of holding a reserve myself. So
Mhm.
it's good that we're on the same wavelength on some of that. I think one of the key stats is we had 97 field goal attempts compared to 77 for them, and as you said, that's a function of the plus 13 overall in rebounding and the 22 turnovers. So we sped the Spurs up. We made them do things that they're not comfortable with. We didn't shoot the ball particularly well ourselves. Like we did shoot a lot of threes, and we shot them okay, at 35%. I think we had 8,000 attempts, most of them from Mo Diawara, but shout out to Cool Mo D for not being afraid. But so we didn't shoot the ball particularly great, but we shot the ball so much more than they did that we were able to triumph. And I think in the modern analytics, I think that's kind of one of the biggest keys is the possession battle. And it's funny because it's something that Tom Thibodeau was on back when Isaiah Hartenstein and Mitchell Robinson were our tandem. Like we would win the possession battle pretty often, even though we couldn't shoot the ball worth a flip. Now we actually can shoot the ball. We've got a lot of good shooters at any rate, but we didn't shoot the ball great either, and we were still able to beat the hottest team in the NBA by 18 million points. So good on the Knicks.
Them, though we didn't shoot.
Yeah,
we did well, but we shot better than them, and that definitely helps. And then we only had 13 turnovers, so we took care of the ball. So that's going to give you more possessions as well. And then we were +8 in offensive rebounds as well, which led to 23 second chance points. So, turning them over, you not turning it over, +8 on the offensive boards. I think we're +10 second chance points. All of that gives you more opportunities. And to your point, they only took 77 shots last night, and the Knicks took 97 shots and shot better than them. That's where you get that's how you get a blowout.
Yeah. When you're not shooting lights out. And that's the thing. We didn't get to talk about the Milwaukee game, but the Milwaukee game I felt like was unsustainable because we literally made like 8,000 threes, and it was like, it was an avalanche, and it was great. It was fun, but it's not something that it's not a performance. Like you're not going to do that through you're not going to do that through an entire playoff series, much less through the entire playoffs. You can't hang your hat on shooting variance, right? One way or the other, right? So there's some games like Cleveland where we shot the ball really poorly. I don't think you can, so I think that there are two sides to that coin is what I'm saying. But so what I am always looking for is sustainability when it comes to this team. What can we look at and what can we say, yes, this is something we can count on game in and game out. And one thing that I'm not sure that we saw yesterday, and if I apologize if I'm moving too quickly into this, was Mikal Bridges. 5 steals and 25 points. And I think that guy just likes to see the Spurs. Like, I think we just need to put special glasses on him where he thinks he's playing San Antonio every night. And because it seems like he had the 40-point Christmas Day game against them a couple years ago. And now he's, or last year, I should say. And now he came through again, like with a virtuoso performance. Very, very good quality play from Mikal yesterday, in my opinion. Probably his best game of the season.
Yeah, and I think he summed it up. This was one of his quotes after the games. We have a lot of guys who can score, but I try to control what I can control, and that brings energy on both ends. And I'm like, you are one of the guys that can score. What do you mean? We have a lot of players on this team that can score. You one of them. But he doesn't see himself, that way. I think he sees himself as a ball mover and just take advantage of whatever comes to him. And he did that last night. He was super efficient. He was really good on the defensive end as well, using his length. 5 rebounds last night. Just a really, all around good performance from him. 10 of 17 from the field, 5 3-pointers. Like he was just, but this is not him. I'm not expecting this. I'm not, somebody said in the chat that they think this is what Leon Rose signed him for. Okay, that Chris Gotti, I appreciate you. 279. This the Bridges Leon Rose traded 5 picks for probably, but I just don't think this is going to be him going forward. I think if it comes to it, definitely, because he's very efficient. But he took 17 shots. I don't think that's going. I don't have a problem with it. I just don't think that's Bridges' style. But last night he was phenomenal.
I think he ran the floor really well. The 2 plays stand out to me. Was the one was the Alvarado got the rebound, pushed the pace, and got it to him in transition for the flush. And then Brunson had a similar play where he cut straight to the rim based on what the defense was giving and got another dunk. So that kind of aggressiveness in terms of cuts and taking what the defense gives you was really good. And it's not something we always see from him. So it was nice to see him moving and cutting and really playing a good floor game, which he's capable of for sure. But as you said, it's not something that's sustainable, but it was something that helped carry us to victory last night. So good on you, Mikal.
Yeah, definitely. Some of the comments, if you don't see it, come up through the show, I'm starring it so that we can talk about it when we get to the chat, so that we can really comment. We can really comment on it. So if you don't see your comment up here, hold on. We got you. I want to transition to Josh Hart. We'll talk about Brunson. We'll talk about Diawara as well. 10 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. Didn't shoot well. I think he was 4-14 overall, 1 of 6 from 3. And he made a comment that, he did the other things because his shot wasn't falling. And I think this is, I don't want to say problem. I think problem is a strong word. I think Josh's identity in terms of who he thinks he is probably has changed since he's been here. So when I saw him play last night, I didn't even know he didn't shoot well. I was just like, this is Josh Hart on the floor, scrapping, hustling, getting us, extra possessions, rebounding the ball, playmaking, playing with so much energy. I'm like, this is him. Where's it been? But for Josh, it's like, oh, I did those things because my shot wasn't falling. I felt like I had to do other things. And I'm saying, no, quite contraire. Those you're identifying as other things is your identity. Like, this is what we traded for. This is what got you the contract extension that you got. And absolutely, we do need him to shoot better. But don't get it twisted, Josh Hart, that now all of a sudden you this shooter and my shot's not going in. So now I got to try other things to help the team win. No, those other things are you. Those are you. And it changes the Knicks. When he plays like that, with that type of energy and hustle, that junkyard dog, we a different team. And I'm hoping that this is a come home moment to him. I don't think it is, where he kind of realizes that, yo, this is me. Like, this is my DNA. And sure, I need to shoot better to keep the offense, to keep the defense honest. I do need to do that. But yo, like, get back to the basics. Whether that happens or not, we shall see. But I thought last night was vintage. Like, this is the Josh Hart. Thibodeau drove to the airport and drove him back and put him right into the lineup the next day. You know what I mean?
Drove to Portland, like
drove to Portland. Like, this is the Josh Hart, and I think we need more of that. And I think he needs to focus more on that. And sure, we do need the shooting because it messes with space. And I'm not saying we don't, but I feel like it's not an either or, Josh. It's not an either or. We need both. And if you can only give us one, give us the junkyard, because we got other players that we can sub in for the shooting. Just your thoughts on Josh Hart.
Well, I think San Antonio accentuated the game plan against us, and they're not the only one, but they're such a good team defensively. They're put the ball in Josh Hart's hands and make him beat you, right? And you could kind of see the confidence wane early on in that game when he missed shots, but you want to talk about process after that. I thought his process on offense following those misses was actually quite good. And his ability to attack and get shots for other people and work. Because look, there's not a secret. This is what we're going to see in the playoffs. Teams are going to dare Josh Hart to beat them. So as long as we're playing a 5-man lineup with Hart on the floor as our closing unit, the Knicks are going to have to sort through that, right? That's going to be a big thing. And there are times when he looks like he did in the first quarter, and you're like, ooh, this is not going to be good. And then there are times when he looks like he did the rest of the game, and you're like, well, we can live with this. We're going to be fine, right? And so, first of all, credit to him, his shooting has improved. Like, I think he's shooting better this season than he has, or at least it feels like it has.
38.5% from three.
So, I mean, I think that's probably a career high, I would guess. When he got to the Knicks that first season, he was lights out for like 25 games. He shot 51% from three, and we were all like, we got an all-star. We traded Cam Reddish for an all-star, and then we found out, that was just a hot streak. But no, I agree with your assessment. Don't forget who you are just because you've been right. Invited to do other things or you have opportunities to do other things. Remember your roots. Remember what got you to this position in the first place, and that's playing hard, and that's turning the 10-90 balls into 50-50 balls. That's the Josh Hart that we need for sure.
Yeah. Don't become a diva out here, Josh Hart. All right. Where do you want to go next?
Well, let's talk about the rookie. Let's talk about Mo. Cool Mo D. Golly, you want to talk about a guy who's not shy. And I think it's awesome that Landry Shamet was just like, shoot the ball. Shoot the ball. Shoot the ball. Every time he caught it, shoot the ball. And I think he set a record, or maybe not a record, but he's like the third player in NBA history to play 15 minutes and get up 13 shots, I think, as a rookie. So he's certainly not shy, but and he didn't have it going as he didn't shoot the ball well yesterday, and he didn't produce a lot of offense. I think he was 0.922 points per 100 possessions or whatever, or points per possession. So it wasn't great offensive process from him necessarily, but the fearlessness and the ability to work as a spacer, and the guy is shooting 40% on the year from three, and so you gotta respect this kid. I think he's earning his spot in the rotation. I think that he's clearly put any debate, if there was, between he and Sohan to bed. I think that he's a much better fit for what this team needs and wants right now. I'm not saying he's perfect. He's a rookie. He has to learn defensively and all of those sorts of things, but he just seems to have a savvy about him, which works with this crew. And I think he was like plus 20 or something like that in his 15-minute stint. So, and it seems like when he scores more than 10 points, we're undefeated. So I think we're like 6-0 in games where he's done that. And I don't know that there's a reliable stat there, but I think it's interesting nonetheless that, because he brings us size and he pairs it with shooting and the defense is solid. And so I think that's that may be a piece off the bench that we need and that works. So very, very happy with the rookie. I think Cool Mo D is a terrific addition to the rotation, and I don't think he should lose his spot.
Yeah, I think I have a different perspective on it. I agree with you. His confidence is what stood out for me. Like his confidence stood out. But if anybody else came in and took 14 shots in 15 minutes and shot 31% from three, we would be like, what the hell is going on here? Right? So he was totally inefficient. But to your point, I love the confidence of it. I love that, most, if not all of those shots came within the flow of the game. I like the fact that he wasn't rattled in, in a big game. And I think that bodes well, for us this year in the playoffs in years to come. I do like that part, but jacking up 14 shots in 15 minutes, I think that's a bit much. Jamrock always said, I love the win, but some of the people that are taking the number of shots they are taking needs to cease. The ball fine energy nonsense needs to stop. The guards and the wing have way too much freedom to shoot in the offense. Again, and I talked about this in the beginning, this is Mike Brown's offense. Like I'm starting to like come around. This is Mike Brown's, offense. Move the ball. Whoever gets the shot gets the shot. It's not we're gonna take advantage of mismatch offense. It's not we're gonna make sure the ball is in our best players' hands most of the time and play off of them. That's just not this offense. Now, in the whole scheme of things, when it's all said and done, Brunson is going to take the most shots on his team. Cat has the second most shots on his team. You couldn't tell. But this is what the offense is. And if everybody comes through and hits their shots, it's going to be wonderful. If not, we're going to be wondering why so-and-so got more shots or just as many shots as the better offensive player. But I think we have to see it in the playoffs and see how it plays out.
This occurs to me, and it's not really a game-related thing, but I wanted to ask you a question right quick. Have you ever seen the Knicks go through a stretch where they were 14-4, where there was this much hand-wringing about the offense and the players as we've seen in this one? Like, do you ever remember us being this hot and there being so much just negative discourse around the team regarding our current situation? Like, it's almost disjointed.
Probably not, but I will say that this is the first time the Knicks have been in a situation where the stakes are high. And I think what you're comparing it to has changed. I think in the past, going 14-4, that's good. We're good. But when you're trying to win a championship, it changes now. So it's not just that we're going 14-4. We're comparing it against where you need to be if you're going to be a champion. And I think that's the difference. And I think the Knicks fans are some of the smartest fans in the entire world. And I think that's where the angst is coming from, because we're smart enough to look and be like, yeah, we 14-4, but A, B, and C, that ain't going to fly in the playoffs. And what we're seeing now, that's not sustainable. And you go into the playoffs and you're not featuring Cat and you're not featuring Brunson, your best players, and you got all these other cats taking just as many shots as your best player, I don't know how that's going to play out. And you got Diawara coming in 15 minutes, jacking up 14 shots. I don't know how that's going to play. So I think that's what's going on, Geoff. We're comparing it to where we need to be to win it all. And that's why, in my opinion, there's that angst. There's that this ain't good enough. That's where I think it's coming from.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. All right.
We have a super chat. I don't know if you were going to save it.
Yes.
Or...
Oh, yes. Let me get to the super chat. Matter of fact, I'm going to get to the chat overall because I'm not sure anything is left Oh, let's talk about Brunson, and then we'll get to Paris Douglas super chat, and then we'll get to the chat. Overall, I thought Brunson's floor game was good, like I talked about in the beginning. I didn't think he forced the issue. I thought he found the open player. I thought he controlled the tempo of the game, and I think you noticed the difference. I think it was in the third quarter when he went to the bench with those 4 fouls. The Knicks were a little raggedy for a little bit before they found their footing. And I think it remains to be seen, like I said earlier, what happens when the team is not knocking down shots. How does Brunson respond? Is he still making those same passes, or, okay, I may have to take it into my hands a little bit? That's part of the maestro that I'm talking about, being able to read the game and what we need. I thought he was solid in that respect last night.
Yeah, the captain did his thing, that's for sure. These are the types of games I like from Brunson, though. He did what was required. He was really good, and it's easy to be a maestro when everybody's making shots, right? When everybody's bricking, the tune is off key, right? So it doesn't look the same, but his process was good. We've seen him, at other times kind of take over games, and sometimes we need him to do that. But I thought last night he let the game come to him, and he helped. He facilitated as a point guard, and so he's capable of it. We know he can do it. So it's just that understanding of, as you said, when do we put it in drive, and when do we shift gears and do the other. And I think that's going to be something that continues to evolve as the season goes along, because I think he's a playoff riser, and he's someone that when it comes to the postseason, he's going to be number one on the scouting report, but he's also going to be the guy who elevates his game and hits shots. Like, we've seen him go Michael Jordan mode in the playoffs, literally. Like, he and Jordan are the only ones to have, I thought it was 7 30-plus point games in a row in the postseason or something, like whatever he did. I don't remember the exact number. Apologize, I should. But, we've seen him take it to an elite other level in the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to see how he balances that version of himself versus the one that makes sure that his teammates are active and involved.
Yeah. Well, like you said, we got Toronto coming up, Denver. Denver's coming up. OKC coming up, the Lakers. I don't know. I think Gilgeous Shea is back, right?
Yeah, SGA is back. I'm pretty sure
he's back. Then we got the
and if he's not, he will be for when the Knicks play him.
Facts. And then we have the Lakers as well. So
and don't sleep on the Clippers either. I think that's the Lakers Clippers back to back is not gonna be fun.
Yeah. For sure. And the Knicks schedule, I think, is a back-to-back, 1 day off, another game, 1 day off, and then another back-to-back. Something like that. So,
and going West Coast with all of that. It's gonna be brutal. Like we've got, I think we travel to the Raptors Tuesday, and then we come home to play the Thunder. Yay. Right. Easy one, right? And then we go to the West Coast with I don't know what the order is.
I think we have Denver before the West Coast.
Denver, and then LA and LA.
We're at Denver, right?
Yes.
So that's part of the West Coast. Yeah, gotcha. All right, Paris Duggar. Maybe it's me, but that's how Bridges plays in the playoffs, actually. We fans got to stop over critiquing every freaking second of these guys' season. I hear you. All right. Lonnie Meeks, appreciate you. Why can't we get this kind of game more often from Mikal? Yeah, I just don't think that's him. And I think I was answering a comment today, and I think it might have been by Kim Doc about just letting players be who they are. I think she was talking about Brunson, just letting players be who they are, play the way they play. And it's up to Mike Brown to help the pieces fit. as opposed to trying to change guys and make them something that they're not. And speaking of Kim Doc, holding a top NBA team to 89 points when the Spurs were up for this game was beautiful to see. Knicks played no games, shut their wager, let when they made many runs. Yeah, the Knicks responded. When they made their mini runs, they definitely did. Chris Gotti, Wemby, -15 last game and -17 in the NBA Cups finals, which was his worst plus-minus of the season. Yeah, I think the Knicks were just being really physical with him. He missed a lot of three-pointers, though. So that didn't help. But we took 48 three-pointers. I mean, that's the Wemby effect. Right, it's just really, and not just Wemby, but also their perimeter defenders, just really, really hard to get into the lane and get shots at the rim.
Yeah,
Lonnie Meeks, the more reps Diawara gets, the more compatible he will be with the offense. Totally, you see that already. He has a really good feel for the game, as well. Rebuild NYK, appreciate you. This is the way to win. You have to be able to win different ways. Need to be able to win in a double big lineup. Also going extra small with Brunson and GTA, Alvarado, or Kolick on the floor. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
That's a great point. Rebuild NYK. I think that's what playoff teams are able to do is they can beat you playing slow, they can beat you playing fast, they can do whatever. And so for the season, the Knicks are 3rd overall in offensive rating and 8th overall in defensive rating. And we always talk about, right, the top two being top 10 in both is the key to being a contender, even though we kind of fell a little bit short of the 40-20 rule. Which is a guideline. There are teams that have done, I think 5 teams that have won the championship without getting to 40-20, but we were right there. I mean, we're 39-22. So we're right there. Boston actually hit the mark without Tatum. So that's kind of crazy to me. But it's a mock Bill Simmons. I'm calling it Tatum theory because of what he did with Ewing. So apparently without Jason Tatum, the Celtics are a better team, which is really funny. But anyway, back to our Knicks. No, I think this is a great point. And moving forward, this team has a lot of versatility lineup wise. We can put a lot of different combinations on the floor. And it was kind of felt like we used the combination that we're able, instead of just the all defensive team and the all offensive team, we actually kind of mixed them together and said, hey, we can do both at the same time and look at the results for a change. So that was a refreshing change to me.
For sure, Geoff, for sure. Jamrock always, Mo Diawara took 13 3-point attempts. That's crazy. So Jamrock always is from the school of, certain players should take, a certain amount of shot. The Thibodeau school, I don't disagree. Keith Turner, I'm tired of people talking about Sohan. Diawara is that guy. Ceiling is much higher than Sohan. I don't think that was an argument. I don't think that was an argument.
For me, that was exactly the point that I was making.
I don't think it was an argument even when Sohan came to the team. Yeah. I don't think it was any argument about the ceiling. It was more about, as a specialist, having someone that could potentially defend these bigger wing players. So for me,
by the way, Mike Brown seeing what that looks like when he acquired him, right? There's if you're gonna bring the guy in, you need to see what it looks like on the court, and he did that, and it hasn't looked great. But I think part of that is because of the lineup that he had.
I think it's a front office thing, quite frankly. I don't think it's just a Mike Brown thing, because Mike Brown was very clear, and this is what Mike Brown has been doing since the beginning of the season. Putting lineups out there, figuring out what you have, going into the playoffs. When Sohan came here, that's exactly what he said. We got to find out what we have going into the playoffs. Sohan has played a minute here too. That's not enough time to decide that a guy is not who you thought he was. In my opinion, if I had to guess, and I don't think this is a Sohan Diawara thing at all, quite frankly. I think it's a front office thing. I think it's a front office thing that, Diawara has to get the minutes. And that's where you see the fallback with Sohan. And again, it's not about the ceiling. It's about having as many pieces at your disposal, given what you may see in the playoffs. To me, that's all it's about. It's not about who's the better player and who has the highest ceiling. Let's get this guy in here. Let's see him. Let's put him out here against some of these players for extended period of time so I can see it, right? And if that comes at the expense of Diawara right now, it's okay. We know who Diawara is. Mike Brown has been doing this all season. Certain lineups, big lineups, small lineups, even at the expense of winning a game, even at the expense of winning a segment of a game, because he wants to collect data and he wants to see, right? I think that process should continue because I hope now if Bridges and OG are going to be who they were last night, it don't even matter. But if you can have, if you can have as many players as you can that you can throw at and give a player different looks, it matters in the playoffs. Jamrock always, not going to lie. I wish Mo was a little better so he can replace Hart in the starting lineup. Everybody down on Hart, I don't know. Definitely salute to S. Scott, the Man Cave podcast. Be sure to check him out. Salute to his, subscribe to his channel. Appreciate you rocking with us today. J Mars Photography. Salute. I thought Cat played a great game. If the offense just relied on Cat and Brunson taking turns, makes for a predictable offense and defenses can load up. Absolutely. Showing defense a dynamic offense helps. No, you're absolutely right. It's just there are times when you will have to, right? And the Knicks just have to be flexible and not get locked into any one way of playing. You're going to need different ways to win. Okay. Let's see if I can find some other Knick Nation. Appreciate you rocking with us. I thought the biggest moment in the game was the early timeout that Mike Brown called. The score was, I believe, 11-3 at the time. Changing the scheme on how we handled the press coverage was, I'm going to guess, everything. Yeah. Okay. Cool Mo D. Keith Turner, people come down on Mike Brown, but you got to remember this team is new to him as well. You got to give this man some time. Okay. Gotcha. Chris Gotti, good things happen when Diawara gets minutes. Okay. Lonnie Meeks, Tibbs' offense was, if you're open, take the shot. Okay. Kerry Cox, Cat overpriced. Not mad at his double-double. I do see he's complaining less to the refs. Yeah.
Oh, he did get after the refs when Wemby flopped. He's like, he's 7'4", 260, man. Get ready.
Right. He did lower the shoulder, though.
I thought it was an offensive foul, but then he was like, come on. I hit him. He felt like a rag doll.
Kim Doc said, I think I was talking about Cat. Everyone wants to change him. Okay. Yeah. Efren Lopez, we're starting to see our playoff rotation getting set, but game by game, it seems. Yeah. Mike Brown talked about it. Well, he said Diawara and Sohan is 9-10, 10-9. And, basically the game will dictate that. I haven't seen that yet. Okay. Humberto De La Hoz. Leon Rose has done it again by hiring Mike Brown. We shall see. East Blue Drew, appreciate you. Getting that win means a lot. Remember, the loss to them was the start of our slump. Okay.
Yeah, that fourth quarter, we were up big in that game too. I saw the score. I was kind of concerned about that. I was like, "Are we going to have another meltdown?" But they said, "No meltdown today. We just got to take care of business in this fourth quarter and run them out."
Yeah. Rebuild NYK. Sohan needs shooters around and play in the pick and roll. Okay.
Facts.
Kim Doc, I feel like Boston is trying to avoid the Pistons in the second round. They're winning every game.
I don't think Boston's scared of nobody. They got Tatum coming back. They got everything else rolling for them right now. The Celtics are. That you want to talk about executive of the year? What they've been able to do with that injury is phenomenal to me.
Yeah.
It's black voodoo magic. I don't know what other to describe it. It's dark magic. It should not be, but it is. Incredible job by that front office.
And by the players. The players are stepping up. And they're getting contributions from places that they weren't sure they would get contributions from, I'm sure, when the season started. And Jaylen Brown is taking his game to another level, which is what you need when your star player goes down.
Yeah. Amen. Well said.
Latoria. Good morning, Latoria. Hope everything is well with you. Rebuild NYK can play Sohan and Mo together. Okay.
I don't think you're going to see a lot of that.
I don't think you're going to see a lot of that either. D. Grant, I should have stayed in mommy Africa to avoid paying high taxes in NYC.
Yeah, but then she has to be up at 4:00 in the morning to do shows.
Right, to do these shows.
And to watch the
right. And to watch the Knicks. What is that? Jer's real sports fan. Did I get that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Liked a lot of what I seen Sunday. Yeah, absolutely. Bricks Nation, like, share, subscribe for sure. And then also, if you guys haven't already, if you can go to the new Twitter page, which is at DopeSoulSports. If you were subscribed, even if you weren't, on X, if you can go to at DopeSoulSports, the at BKSteph33 was hacked. So I'm not using that page any longer. Anything coming from that page is not from me. Again, on X at DopeSoulSports. So I'll put the QR code up the next time. It's in the it's in the show notes as well. But yeah, subscribe on Twitter at DopeSoulSports. You still away? No, I'm back. I took that long flight in Saturday. All right, Geoff. Any last words?
Big week coming up is going to be a rough one. I think we'll be back on Wednesday morning and Thursday morning. So it's then Thursday night. So a lot of shows. We're getting to the nitty gritty of the season. We got 21 games left, I think 20 games left, something like that in this regular season. So what's crazy about that is we only need to win 11 of them to get to 50 now. Right. So that's playing about 500 ball to be a 500 team. I mean, a 50-win team. And, I think that was kind of the bare minimum for this squad when we came into the season for most of us, because if you're going to be a title contender, you need to be winning at least 50 games. And, the Knicks have their flaws, but they showed why they're a title contender against the Spurs in this game last night. That game on Sunday afternoon showed you why this team can be dangerous. And, a lot has to go right. We need OG and Mikal to be at their best. But when they are, we don't need dominant performances from Brunson and Cat, and we can still boat race teams. And I think that is where people that's something worth recognizing, is that when those two guys, when Wingstop is at their best, we turn up in a way that not a lot of other teams can. So impressive job yesterday.
Yeah, I agree. That was actually on my notes. If everybody plays near their ceiling, the Knicks are a different team. If you're getting that from Wingstop, Cat doesn't have to be the Cat that we know. But I think it comes down to, and I think what you and I have been saying is, I'm not sure we can count on that in the playoffs. So we need Cat to turn up a little bit. But if he doesn't, and those guys are playing like they played, last night, and I don't even think it was OG's best offensive game. We've seen better. But if they're near their offensive ceiling, we're a different team. So we got Toronto tonight.
Is it
at
tonight?
Toronto. Excuse me, Tuesday at Toronto. Okay. Wednesday, we have Thunder at home. We have one day off Thursday. Be sure to join us for the weekly show. And then Friday, we're at Denver. Sunday at the Lakers. Monday at the Clippers. So it's a little haul. 4 games this week.
No rest for the weary.
No rest.
This is what we wanted, right? This is what you want. You want to be battle tested. You want, I think that's part of sometimes the frustration of the regular season. Nobody wants to see us against the Wizards and the Pacers. I mean, win or lose, and we're capable of losing to the Pacers. We showed that already, but you want to see how you perform on the big stage against the best teams, and we've got a heavy lineup of that coming up in the next 7 days. And so you learn a lot about your team, and I thought we showed another level on Sunday. Now it's the question, can we sustain that level? We've had good success against Toronto this year. I don't know that we've played them when they're healthy yet. So, we'll see what comes of that. I'm sure that they'll be up for that game. And then, I think everybody, when the season started, had the Thunder game circled, right? Because we need to see how we look against the defending champs. So, it could be a tough week from a wins and losses perspective, but, an important one nonetheless, because you learn about your team as much or more in a loss than you do in a win. So, should be an educational week.
Listen, Geoff, if the Knicks are rounding into shape like I hope they are, it's going to be a good week. It's going to be a good week. 3-1.
Your lips to God's ears. I'm okay with it. All right.
3-1 this week.
I hope so.
Mm-hmm. All right, family. Appreciate the chat. Appreciate the replay gang. And of course, the silent listeners. Geoff and I will be back Wednesday and Thursday, 12:30 p.m. Excuse me, a.m. Yeah, p.m. 12:30 p.m. Yeah. Peace, fam.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's
shine. DopeSoul.
Where you at? Where you at?
DopeSoul.
Where you at? Where you at?
DopeSoul.
What?